Good evening, televiewers, and welcome to Prime R, the first edition of the week. We are going to be playing prolongation at the demise of Chairman Nation Fru Ndi, who was laid to rest out there in his village, Babatu, the northwest region of Cameroon. We are going to be coming back to some of the high points of his life, especially surrounding his death, looking at how Cameroon as a whole paid homage to one who has been described by so many as one of the fathers of democracy in Cameroon. We are going to be discussing this with Dr. Michael Ndimancho, who is a lecturer with some universities in Cameroon. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's a pleasure to be here, and especially to talk about the chairman. The chairman who is an icon, a chairman who is like the godfather, the Baobab of the opposition parties in Cameroon. And I think that it is a pleasure, anybody in Cameroon, to talk about the chairman, this man who has gone down the history, the annals of history, as a historic figure, as a monument. And even whether you like it or not, whether you attended it or not, I think that it is a new history has been written in Cameroon, that once the first opposition party chairman in Cameroon, Ndiwum Fru Ndi, went down and was buried on the 28th of July in the year 2023, of course the year of the Lord, and that we will live to remember him for some of the things that he brought to Cameroon: democracy, the wind of change. And no one should stay indifferent, because whether you are a member of the SDF or not, you are enjoying one of the fruits, the labor of Ndiwum Fru Ndi. And I think that we need to pay him the homage that is due, and that his soul should be resting in peace. And so it is worthwhile talking about Ndiwum Fru Ndi. Suffer, don't finish.
Okay. We also had the company of Emmanuel Ndiwum, who is an activist in Cameroon and also a core civil society member. We're glad to have you, Ndiwum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It's always a pleasure to be on this platform. You will permit me to take this moment to greet the people of Boyo and the entire Kum fandom, okay, especially the founder of Kum, who has been there for his people all this while, and to the Prime R lovers in and out of the country, especially those in the diaspora. It's always a pleasure to be here. Today we are talking about Ndiwum Fru Ndi, who was not a saint. You are not a saint. I am not a saint. I was shocked when some people thought that he ought to have behaved like a saint, whereas we are just mere humans. If he did his wrongs, it is not in our place to judge him. He is in the rightful place today to be judged, and his judgment will be passed by his creator. So I don't see why a lot of holabalo that surrounds his demise, and some think that he betrayed the Anglophones. Some even go as far as saying that he was the Judas Iscariot of the Anglophones, and I don't know how that could be possible. Thank God, with such programs in place, we are going to be airing out our own experiences. Like you rightly said, he had his highs and his lows in his political journeys, but the judgment is love for his creator, not us.
My Jarvis is also with us this evening. He's sitting in for Alex Ngepi, who just wrote to me this evening that he's actually very tired. He made the journey right up to Baba 2, and we're glad to have you, Ta.
Good evening, and a special good evening to the peace-loving people of the Northwest and the Southwest region, especially those who are watching us in the villages that are so difficult for them to reach major centers. I'm talking about those in Menchum division who have difficulties, especially during this period of the rains, to make it right up to Bamenda, and also those who are experiencing feasible and invisible roadblocks across the Northwest region, and those in the Southwest region who also are facing difficulties to have access to main road. I'm talking about those in Kwakwana, Kebole, Ekumbe, Sumekumbe, and Trikona Ekumbe. However, it is a saying, the Bible says, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. We all are imperfect beings before God. We're created in His image and in His likeness with our different likes, minds, and thoughts and heart, but with one vision and one purpose: to be our brothers and sisters' keeper. However, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, to many he has come, he saw, he conquered, Veni, Vici, Vici. So others, they have their own interpretation. And even Jesus Christ, when He came to this earth, He also had people who questioned His authority, betrayed by His own, nailed on the cross of Calvary, resurrected. Many doubted, and today many are still doubting. And so why not Chairman Fru Ndi, who is not Jesus, but is a mere mortal? If our Lord Jesus Christ can be vilified, crucified, and can also be insulted and be called names, even on the cross of Calvary, a thief mocked Him and said, "You said you are the Son of God. Why don't you free yourself and free us?" And He said, the other said, "Lord, remember me in paradise, for you have done nothing." So it's a situation of Fru Ndi on the cross, which I consider the Anglophone crisis. On the cross of Calvary, He's caught between two thieves. One of the thieves who want Him to say, "You are the leader of the Anglophone movement. Why don't you declare separation and let us enjoy the dividend of a new nation?" The other side, another one who says, "You have fought so hard to unite this nation. Why don't you stand for the values that you believe in? The values of truth, objectivity, one and indivisible Cameroon with its specificity." And on that cross of Calvary, Fru Ndi looked up and said, "I have come, I have seen, and I have conquered. The Lord should take its course." And so therefore today we are here to talk about his legacy and praying that God should grant him rest and let perpetual light shine upon him, because we all will journey one day, and the day we shall journey it, we shall also leave people behind to talk about us.
Okay, we hope to also get connected to Paddy Asanga, who is expected to be part of this edition of the program. We have connection problems since, and also expecting contributions from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital, from Ndifor Richard, who is a fervent militant of the Social Democratic Front. We are going to start with this video that was taken in Ewane. Yes, your first reaction, Dr. Michael and Ndimancho, that was in Yaoundé, the nation's capital. We saw the crowd that stood from afar watching the, I'm sure that was the entrance into the Palais des Sports out there in the nation's capital. Your first take on how Cameroon paid homage to the fallen chairman of the Social Democratic Front.
Mr. Leo, my first reaction is that which is personal, and it's that of humanity, human beings, how mortal we are. And of course, and I know when you see somebody lifeless, the first thing that comes to your mind is that he has only gone ahead, and that one day you will be the way he is. And my first way, I asked myself, remember we ran a program on, there was a discussion on our WhatsApp group, and I was asking myself, that was intentional, because I said, if I should die today, what image do you have of me? And I remember I even tapped you, Mr. Leo, and I said, if I should die today, what would you say about me? Because that is actually the crux of the matter. We who are traditionalists, we believe that there is actually a soul's rest when the people who are alive think well about you, when they say good things about you. That is when your soul rests, and rests peacefully. There are a lot of people who say that when I die, don't put me in a mortuary, because when you put me in a mortuary, my soul wouldn't rest easily as I think, or my soul wouldn't rest as soon as I die. And this comes to mind. It reminds me of what happens when somebody goes, what people think about him, and where he is, how the soul is supposed to be peaceful, because that's what we're looking at. Is his soul peaceful? That is what is important. If it is peaceful, then all that we are saying here is of no value. And so when I see Ndimancho Fru Ndi being in that cottage, I mean, taken away, helpless, and all that's just the body. And those who know about the African spirituality know that that body actually has nothing to do whatsoever. The soul has gone to the resting place. And for those of us, those who believe like me, that we come to this world about 3 times, I don't know how many, whether that was his first time or the second or the third time. I don't want to go into metaphysics. But I think that whether it's the first time or the second or the third time, when it is at this stage, anybody living and watching that, the first thing that comes here, because you don't wage any war with the dead. And it baffles me how some people wanted to wage war with the corpse of Ndimancho Fru Ndi. Because when I look at him lying there, when I look at it is my own internal life, my own afterlife. They say that in Africa, dead men tell no tales. Because when they say dead men tell no tales, it speaks volumes. And when lying there, I think that I put myself in his place. And all that you have to say is that you don't say any evil with the dead. Even if he was a bad man, what happens is that you are thinking about your own life, how it's going to be tomorrow. And what all you have to do is bless him and tell him rest in peace. And, given the kind of status quo, the image, the person, the personality that Ndimancho stood in Cameroon, it is not even at his death that we have to celebrate him, or people have to surround the way. I remember him coming from Bamenda to Douala, and all the villages along the line, Buddha, Bafusam, Bangente, and all of those, where everybody, with palms, like Jesus getting into Jerusalem, everybody wanted to have a glimpse of this man. I don't even think that it is here. This is just what, and that's why in Africa we say, when you die, after living this life, it is all about celebration. And therefore, when I look at him and him lying there, I think that it is about celebrating this monument, this man, this Baobab, this Roko. This man who has lived is the godfather of all political parties in Cameroon. And I think that nobody was supposed to say indifferent. Many people gave a lot of reasons why they were not there. But of course, whether you were there physically or spiritually, it changed nothing. He has gone. And there it was only his corpse that we are paying homage to. His soul has gone to where he came from.
Now, your take on the way Cameroonians paid homage to him, you to some extent satisfied that he got what he merited?
Mr. Leo, thank you for that question. Every wise man, especially an African, should know and should be aware that there is no enmity in death. I think the highest respect you can give to someone who was even an enemy of yesterday is the last respect, which is that respect on the day of his death. I was really taken aback because I want to first of all salute 3 things about this man before I come to your question. The courage that he took in 1990 to stand up and lead a party that he was not a founder, but those who claim to be the founders did not have the courage to lead it. That's one. The challenges that he had after the boycott of 1997 and all the kind of stones that were thrown on him, and he absorbed them and continued with his political career. The third one will be the hot potato in his mouth, the Anglophone crisis, that actually made him still as the chairman of that party. He fought in his own way. The question now is, those who have been throwing all these stones on him, what was stopping them from harnessing the same energy, joining hands with him to give him a leeway? Because like I've always said, when you look across a small triangle called Cameroon, you are told that they have about 300 plus parties. of which I actually see them as Njangi groups. Now, I am coming to your question because, in essence, political solidarity was supposed to mark its history in Cameroon from the death of the chairman, Ndifor Richard. But my shock, I don't want to call the names of political associations, parties here or whatsoever. The fact that Fru Ndi died on the day they were beginning to mark the activities to his journey to eternity. Some preferred to be on their Twitters, they were in Yaoundé. Some were holding rallies, press conferences, of which I was thinking that some sort of political solidarity should not only exist when political figures are alive. It was supposed to be a turning point for these political parties or leaders to start asking themselves, this man fought. He fought and maybe he did not succeed in taking power. What homage can we pay for him so that we can send an image to Cameroonians? Because as I talk to you right now, Cameroonians are of diverse opinions, and that the kind of homage paid to Fru Ndi by the political opponents in Cameroon or political figures has exposed the dissolidarity that reigns within the political atmosphere in Cameroon. If not, what explains the fact that most, if not, did not turn out in most of the rallies that were organized actually to see off Fru Ndi. Some were in Yaoundé, they didn't. We can applaud some of them who actually took upon themselves to go to Bamenda, right to Baba. Now, touching into the soil of Bamenda, I want to ask our brothers. People said they declared 3 days lockdown so that Fru Ndi's body should not enter Bamenda. And I am sure that it is in a sister program on this TV when I said Fru Ndi's burial was going to take place and it shall be very smooth and nothing was going to stop it. The question we should be asking is, what has happened to that traditional respect? Talking like somebody who comes from the land of Kum, where tradition is highly respected. A dead body is never rejected. A dead body is never rejected. And I want to think that those who call for this lockdown have once more proven to the whole world, not only Cameroonians, that their senses are not in the balance. Because just imagine, you do not want Fru Ndi's body to enter Bamenda. Every day there is a fight between Amber Boys and the military. Even when the military kills, they permit the population to pick up the corpses and bury. What if the government decides today to go the same way and decide that any Amber body that is killed, they will guard it so that nobody picks it up? Then the whole region will be smelling. I want to think Fru Ndi merited. It's just that we are in a country where our political icons, our statesmen are not respected. Else, they would have been planning that after putting up a monument for Foncha, Endele, Fru Ndi's monument should be put in place.
Okay.
I say a monument that will be a pictorial, that will give a pictorial reading of the political struggle of Cameroon from when multipartyism started till date. I don't want to go to any of his failures because, like I said, he was not a saint. But he did what others did not do, and others who are still there today have not yet done 1/3. Yet, they are the people crucifying him.
Okay, let's take another watch at this video. I'm sure when they arrived at Bafoussam.
De la place des fêtes de Bafoussam en direction du nord-ouest de Baba 2 précisément sera porté un extrait mortel. Nous sommes en train de se retrouver à la place des fêtes de Bafoussam.
Okay, that was the stopover in Bafoussam before they moved on to Mbuda. Tamai Jarvis, your reaction towards the way Cameroonians paid homage to fallen Nigerian Fru Ndi?
I would take it from the spiritual perspective, coming now to the cultural perspective. We all, in whichever religion we believe in, whether we are Christians, whether we are Muslims, whether we are Buddhists, whether we are Hindus, whether we are traditionalists, we all have one value, the value which is the respect of the dead. And that is why even the Geneva Convention made it clear that when you kill someone, you are not supposed to desecrate the body. You are supposed to give that person a burial. You are supposed to respect the dignity of that person. It is enshrined in the Geneva Convention. And if you look at this, Jesus Christ said, "My peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Look not on our sin, but on the faith of your church, and graciously grant her peace and unity according to your will live and reign forever and ever." Amen. And that is why anytime somebody dies, you will hear the word "rest in peace," which tells you that peace is so dear to someone who has fallen, and that this only thing you have to give that fallen person is the peace to transit into his, to meet his creator. And when we look at Fru Ndi, we are asking ourselves the question that those who say his body should not reach Bamenda and should not be buried in Bamenda. And I ask one simple question: what is the respect of Geneva Convention, of the same convention they stand to preach? And I want to allude myself to what Ndiwum said, that if you claim that this body should not be brought to Bamenda, what if the military in itself retaliate or pick from you, say, okay, yes, let's play this game? What becomes of your own side? We have seen situations where people are killed and their bodies are taken and buried such that the family at least has a right to this body, because we are all created in the image and the likeness of God. We may differ in ideology, we may differ in philosophy, we may differ in mentality, but we are united by one thing, that is the body, the flesh and the soul. And when that body and flesh and soul is run down, or when we die, we are supposed to look at each other and say, you fought the fight, perhaps it was a different road, but I respect your creator and I respect your soul. Coming now to the issue of how he was treated and the circumstances upon which his burial went, I want to also allude myself to what Ndiwum said. This has given the opposition a fair mark to show that they are more interested in power than in unity for a common goal of Cameroon. And it has given President Pobia a pass mark, in fact an A grade in the international community, to show that we may differ in ideology, we may differ in philosophy, but we are all Cameroonians and we all deserve to be given the best and respect according to what you have done to the nation. And that's why you saw he was given a state burial. He was respected across all spectrum. The military, the police, the government officials were there to say farewell. And it tells you that we may disagree, but we are not disagreeing not to agree. One thing for sure, Mr. Liu, is that anybody who has a political party, all of Cameroon, they want Cameroon to go a better way, but party A thinks it must be done in this own ideology, party B must be done in this ideology. And when you saw the way Fru Ndi was treated by the state, it has reaffirmed the belief that President Pobia is a diplomat, is a democrat, and is a respect of the soul or the dignity of the human person. Because in other countries, some burials will not be given like this as Fru Ndi has been given. And it was a moment for opposition leaders to come together, and it was a point for opposition coalition. The burial was supposed to be a point where opposition will come together. Immediately after Fru Ndi's burial, they give a joint press conference and say this chairman fought hard, because if whether we like it or not, most of these political parties sprouted from SDF. Look at those who have other opposition party. Where are they coming from? They sprouted from SDF after the 1992 debacle, 1996 debacle, and right up to 2011. So it was a moment for them to say, dear brothers and sisters, this man fought for democracy, this man fought for equal distribution of resources, this man fought for unity of this country, and so therefore let us come together and continue the fight for where he left. Come now to those who also claim that Fru Ndi should not have been brought to Bamenda. And I want to ask this simple question: what is the same tradition that they hold there? I've been listening to this adage that we must go back to the common law system. The common law, the common law, the common law, and the Anglo-Saxon culture. And what is that Anglo-Saxon culture? It has come now to tell us that these same persons don't believe in that Anglophone culture and Anglo-Saxon culture and the common law culture. Because, Mr. Liu, if you look at whatever happens in the Anglo-Saxon culture, the Anglo-Saxon culture believes in the respect of the dignity of the human being and also the respect of the dead. Go right down to the northwest, to the southwest region. Every village, when somebody dies, even the sworn enemy comes to say, console the family of that person and tell the person rest in peace. And when you say this person should not be buried in Bamenda, you are telling us that you are not respecting your same culture. As Ndiwum said, you are not respecting the same culture that binds you together. In my village, you don't reject the dead, because it is the moment when we open our arms, we say, oh, our son or our daughter have come back home, and so let us give this daughter a peaceful transition, because at the point in time he or she may have contributed in one way or another. We are not sent. Nobody is a sent. That's why when Jesus saw the prostitute, he said, let he without stone, without sin, cast the first stone. Okay. And there's some person conclusively who are saying that Fru Ndi should not have been buried. Mr. Kum, I want to ask them, how will their end be? Will it be like Fru Ndi? And if not, they need to take a rethink.
Let's take a look at the passage from up station down to I'm sure, Finance Junction. Yeah. We're there at the level of up station. Now, this, I don't know, how do you feel seeing these pictures or videos from Bamenda when Fru Ndi was set not to be brought to Bamenda?
It is interesting to know, Mr. Leo, that I was in Bamenda.
Okay.
Yes. It's interesting to know I was in Bamenda, and one of my reasons was to witness the final resting of Ndimancho Fru Ndi. And one of the things that I noticed, because I talked with a few group of people, you understand that there was this kind of a suppressed emotion. And I understood one thing, that you could talk to the people against Fru Ndi, but you could not talk out Fru Ndi from the people. Mm-hmm. This is one of the things that I noticed to the people, because there was this campaign to let people know that Fru Ndi has failed as far as Bamenda is concerned, as far as the Norway is concerned, as far as Anglophones are concerned. But when you talk deeply and you converse with people, there was always this soft spot that people had about Ndimancho Fru Ndi. And that is why you will see this population, because on this very morning, the streets were dry. Mm. And you realize that by the time that this corpse was coming, you saw the street were full. Can we have the video at Finance Junction there? Yeah, that was at was it Finance?
No, this is in Bamenda.
That's in Bamenda, a finance junction.
Yes. Okay, yeah, like you, I'm sure you were in Bamenda and you're surprised to see this.
Exactly. The very morning that they were to bring Ndimancho Michael's cups, the streets were kind of dry. And one thing about Ghost Town in Bamenda is that Ghost Town doesn't concern bike riders. The bike riders, they go up and down. And I was asking myself, when they say Ghost Town, it is supposed to be for everybody. And I was asking myself if this was not a conspiracy, because we have noticed that most of these bike riders belong to these guys, who even ordered the Ghost Town. So is it a way saying that they are the ones in command of the town? And when in the morning, the streets were dry, and then the day started opening, immediately there was an announcement that Ndimancho's cups reached Matazin. And I want to talk particular about Matazin because it is a very, very particular point. For those who know Bamenda and Matazin, that is a place where there was this toll gate. The toll gate was a Matazin at first. And the person who dislodged that toll gate was Fru Ndi. And why did he dislodge that toll gate? Fru Ndi came out one time very furiously and said, we do not have the routes going to Bamenda from Matazin. And what is this toll gate doing here? And he dislodged that toll gate. And when some people in the Northwest region say that there is nothing Ndimancho has done for them, I begin to wonder and I ask myself, they are like Oliver Twist asking for more, because just that fact, that very action. When they saw news that the cops around Matazin, you saw people coming out from their homes like bees, quietly and emotionally. I'm telling you, emotionally. I saw some people shedding tears. I saw some women weeping. And, it was like that kind of a suppressed emotion that at one moment somebody say it has to explode. And you see somebody who is in the heart and minds of the people, but whom some people felt that they should deprive them of mourning for him. So you see Ndimancho Michael, who has been greatly missed by the people of the Northwest region. This monumental Ndimancho Michael, who has always been that man of the people, for the people, that the people have been deprived of. So I think that the arrival of Ndimancho, many people asked me, they said, Bamenda people have abandoned Ndimancho, and they are seeing this kind of people in the street. If it was a kind of a political rally, they will say that they've gone and taken people from Bafusam to come and stand for the rally, or come and take part in the rally. Prisoners. Yeah, the prisoners, or they will say they've gone and taken prisoners from somewhere to come. But this was live. I witnessed it. I saw women weeping for this man. And as Aya said, you do not flex Moses with the dead. And this speaks volumes that this is a man who has left a legacy. If just for the people they has left behind, and he has put a mark on these people. I want us to come back to this genesis of the Ndimancho Michael in the 1990s. This man who came up at the very moment where everybody was afraid to come up. Some people say, and of course I'm one of the proponents who say that it was a wind of change from Eastern Europe that blew down in Africa. But then in Cameroon, we needed that courageous man. That man with that zest. Yes, to embrace that wind of change. Because you see, that wind can blow and you stand against it. But this is a man who accepted to embrace the wind and say, carry me along. And that wind carried this man. And there is that liberation theology that he brought. And when I talk about liberation theology, we are going back antecedently to what was happening before, and we are saying that if there was a liberation theology that Ndimancho Michael brought, means that people were enslaved, means that people were in chains, and that there was a time that people would be liberated. But they didn't know who was going to liberate the people. And that this man came up, bookshop keeper, came up with that courage. And he was able to stand tall and represent the people, even when all the odds were down. Many people turned it down. And there's a book that the second communication secretary of the SDF presented, which I have read, whereby, I mean, a lot of people will have stood in the place of the chairman, but everybody said, no, I will not do that because of this and because of that. And Fru Ndi came out and said, okay, I will do it. I would work for my people. Like Moses taking the people out of Egypt. He said, I will take my people out of this bondage and out of this slavery. And that is exactly the prize. That is exactly the result. This is exactly the outcome of what he has worked for the people. That the people have said, no. I mean, there is a time that we can based on situations because of the circumstances. But at this point in time, we cannot dare tell Fru Ndi that you were not for us. At your death, you will see us that we were for you. Some people have tried to discredit you, but we, the people of Bamenda, we have stood tall, and we are saying that we are going to stand for you, and we are going to bring you to your resting place, and you will rest peacefully. And this is exactly what happened in Bamenda on Friday. And I think that everybody is supposed to be proud of that, that this is a man who came out of nothing, but who went with the wind. And that is the wind that has blown in Bamenda. And I think that it is a lesson for all of us to learn that if Bamenda people could come out against all the odds, against all the ghost towns, because the ghost town was particularly steep on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday. It was very steep. It was more than any other thing. And that the people could defy and come out. It shows that the power rests in the people. And which power are we talking about? It is the power of the 1990s. The power of that liberation theology. Power to the people and equal opportunities. And this is what the people wanted to show to Ndimancho Fru Ndi, that what you told us in the 1990s about power to the people, this is the power that we want to exercise, even against the guns that are pointing at us, against the explosives that we are marching on, that this is the power that we have owned, and we have incarnated, and we want to take responsibility for that power and show you that we actually inculcated something in what you told us, and now we have come out to give you your heroic wake-up.
Good evening to you all in the studio, and to really thank the manager of My Media Prime for the good work he did for the coverage of the late chairman. We should really ask these boycotters what they really want in this country, because at one moment the SDF boycotted and never went in for parliament. What did they do during that period? I was expecting the separatists during that time, but they never did so. To smoke, okay, and talk. Emmanuel writing from Bamenda. Hello, My Media Prime. Ndimancho was a brave man. He will be greatly missed by the whole nation. Agbo Bisong is writing from Tombel. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the entire crew of My Media Prime. Joy fills our minds this evening as the opening of the road blocked by our own brothers have been earmarked for tomorrow, okay? Mr. Liu, it was a shame for most of the opposition leaders, especially those that are claiming to be on the front line, did not show up to bury Ndimancho Fru Ndi. Was also very shocked where most of his militants who have been parliamentarians, mayors and senators did not show up. It was a disgrace, okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu and all the panelists. Calling for Ghost Town to frustrate the burial of the chairman have made the struggle to be dead. One of it was not necessary. Fru Ndi deserved a state burial of that magnitude. Richard is writing from Bamenda. Hi, Mr. Leonard Kum. Good evening. I'm very happy that the chairman had a befitting burial, and how people from the Northwest came out to bury the chairman, and how the government gave our father the honor he deserves. And Dedi Quenty writing there. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Greetings to all of you in the studio. Mr. Ndiwum, God bless you for your wonderful analysis. Rene is writing from Bingo in Kum. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Where is Fai? He was supposed to be here. Anya, okay. Greetings to the four gentlemen in the studio. That is the last chapter of life. Ndimancho Fru Ndi was a great man, and his legacy lives on, no matter what happens to say. Mr. Jarvis. This is Bang Louis writing from Yaoundé. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The opposition failed to unite. Good point there. Now to say his body was not to come home is abnormal. But who said this? I am asking this question because the different factions deny ever saying anything of such. So who actually said it? If they did not say it, so why was it ghost town? Yes, let's look at the political parties and Ndiwum Emmanuel. This is the pioneer in this domain. He dies, and seemingly persons using it to settle scores or to win points, or how do we do politics with the death of somebody?
Once more, Mr. Leo, that question tickles my mind and my emotions. Mm-hmm. I want to start by saying that where Ndiwum Fundi was going to be buried is in Northwest, and in Northwest we have heavy political figures in that part of the country. We have elites who form the political class of that region, and I was shocked that, without disclosing, this very my media prime started the coverage of Ndiwum Fundi right from his residence in Ewane, the day before the official journey to Bamenda. And some of the well-placed Northwest politicians and elites refused to talk on a microphone, which already shows a sign. I don't know whether it was an agenda or how, because when you look at these same politicians who refused to talk on microphone at Fundi's burial, that the same politician who spoke when Chief Mukete died, that the same political elite who spoke when Achidi Achu died, that the same people who spoke when Fon Angwafo died. All these people I just named here, Fon Angwafo was the vice president of the CPDM political party. His body was not refused from entering Bamenda. His funeral was heavily attended by other political parties, not only CPDM. The facts are there. Chief Mukete, almost all political parties attended his funeral. Same with Achidi Achu. And all of these three political figures coming only from the Anglophone zone of Cameroon, their body was never refused from entering their region for burial. Now, what actually happened with that of Ndiwum Fundi? Is there, like you asked in your question, is there not a political conspiracy somewhere where some people wanted to actually try to play down to make the world think that as Ndiwum is gone, SDF is also gone? Somebody could look at it from this point, because some were very quick to say he failed to prepare a political successor, which I, for one, have been reading at it as a failure, because he failed to prepare somebody. But that did not give any reason for other political parties to boycott his burial or not to have come together. Like I instead saw in it an opportunity that would have united the Cabral Libis, the Camptos, the Peace, all of them. Yes. The Kawalas. I saw in it a fatal opportunity to bring these people that after this burial, they sit together in a traditional political house, speak with one voice and say, now that part is gone, and he's our elder in politics, because nobody can deny this. He's our elder in politics. Let's go to his goals. Which one did he achieve? Which one did he fail to achieve? Can we let this legacy live on by struggling to accomplish what he failed to accomplish? Unfortunately, they went in their dispersed ranks. Some were in Gaundere, some were in Douala, some were in Yaoundé, some were on Twitter, some were on Facebook. Some were holding press conferences. At a time, I thought that energy was to be canalized all towards the direction of giving him the last respect. Like Dr. Ndimancho said, death is the last chapter of life. And I will keep saying this statement: there is no enmity in death. Even when people are fighting, like we have seen cases where even the Amber boys are killed by the military still ferry them, call their family members to take them. That is still a sign of respect, Mr. Leo.
It's a sign even in the Geneva Convention.
Yes. I want to look at it purely from the traditional standpoint. Now, it shows that what I have been saying for the past 4 years, we will not be delivered in this country by the so-called political Njangi groups, because they will always have a reason to defend. Some will be very quick to say, no, we made a pronouncement. We sent a delegation. I said this was to be the turning point in a growth of opposition in Cameroon, Mr. Leo. But they failed to use this opportunity. Just imagine that my own grandmother, who knows very little about politics, is asking me how many of the other opposition parties who were working with Ndiwum Fundi attended Fundi's burial. And I was like trying to tell her that you are in Norwest, you understand that they block the road. He said, so these politicians, how will they come to Bamenda for campaign in 2025? Will they come to Bamenda for the municipal election and the rest? Look, and all mother, sizing up such an argument already makes you have an understanding that the population on the ground is reading, and they are reading with keen attention, silent majority. And when the time comes, they will know who to sanction. I have been saying it. It is either you people rise up now and speak for the people who don't claim to speak for the people tomorrow. For the people by tomorrow would have already known where you are, that you are fighting for your self-interest and not for the people. Because if you cannot respect the dead body of somebody, before you take the microphone, when I was growing up, there was this common thing I used to call tax that our parents used to pay when they were traveling to and from the southwest region, the coastal regions, to look for their bread. Do you know who stopped it? It is Ndiwum Fundi. There is nothing you can tell my parents today that will wash out that particular achievement from their mind, that they stop paying taxes and sitting on the floor or on the mud because of Fundi. Coming back to the affair of the toll gate in Matazin, you cannot fool a mother in Bamenda that what Fundi did there's no way you can wash it up. So the achievements might not have been the way people wanted it, because some people are only thinking that he ought to have entered Itudi. But let's also remember that Fundi said he failed to enter Itudi in 92 because he did not want to walk on people's blood to go into Itudi. And today some people are blaming him that he would have walked into Itudi at that time to prevent what is happening today. How far are we sure that if he had walked into Itudi, it would have taken even up till now before you and I can have a voice to speak today?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and thanks for this program. Chairman Ndiwum Fundi has left a legacy that no politician in Cameroon has ever and will never leave. His life was that of Christ Jesus, who was rejected by his own people, betrayed by Judas, but who all regretted and wept when he was no longer there. He fought and brought democracy to Cameroon. One would have expected all political party leaders, including the CPDM, to come together in honor of a great hero. The absence of this come together is an indication that politics in Cameroon is for self and not for all. Ayuk is writing from Kumba.
Just so he knows that CPDM was represented.
Yeah. I am there writing from Bamenda. It's a shame to the so-called Ambazonian leaders who thought that Niger's corps should not enter Bamenda. Congratulations to President Bias and his government for their mark of maturity in Niger's funeral. Job well done. Thank you, Mr. Liu, for this program. I'm Terry writing. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Ndiwum Fundi was a great man, and his legacy will always be cherished no matter what. Nkwene Georgette is writing from Bangem. Good evening, Mr. Kum and dear panelists. We are pleased with the honor given to the fallen Ndiwum Fundi by government and wish that the remains of Ahiju could be brought back home and given a decent burial. Terence is writing from Ngaundal. Greetings to you, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists. The passing away of Fundi exposed the self-centered nature. Stop calling, please. Exposed the self-centered nature of the opposition party leaders in Cameroon. Where is the togetherness Cameroon is preaching. It's a big disgrace. Mr. Leo, those people saying Fru Ndi cops will not be welcome. Stop calling, please. Will not be welcome in Bamenda are losers. If they are that tough and better than Fru Ndi, then they should come forth and show themselves. You can't be abroad and manipulate young people to be dying every day. Fru Ndi gave Cameroon democratic freedom, just like Nelson Mandela gave South Africa political freedom. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It seems the CPDM party was better represented at Fru Ndi's burial than the opposition parties. It is not high time that the new SDF goes into formal alliance with the CPDM. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Okay, Shea Damien is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Leo. To me, it was a period of mourning. That's why people were indoors in sackcloth. Tracy is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Panelists. John is a man of great works. Tracy is writing from Ewane. Yes, talking about some persons here. I'm quoting the viewers who say it has proven that what matters to politicians is themselves. How true is that?
It's very true, to some extent true, because if you look at what happened in other countries, when Morgan Shangara died, you had the opposition and including the ruling government, they came together and they bid farewell.
But what was the point? Not identify. Was it the fear that your militants will stone you for identifying with Fru Ndi, or?
No, they fear.
What was the gain?
No, that's not the fear, because when the microphone was given to Chiroma, he spoke in English and he's in the political party.
Yes.
It happened same with Gregoire Owona. He is a member of a high-profile member of the CPDM party. So there is something hidden that maybe you are.
The issue from the opposition party is that they wanted to. Probably those who claim they are the front line opposition party, they thought that maybe Fru Ndi had been taking some short recent, so I identify themselves with Fru Ndi would mean that they are part of the CPDM cabal. And so therefore CPDM will be represented, maybe he has been given a state barrier, so, and people have been accusing the SDF to have allied with CPDM, so getting there probably will be that cabal. It's a fat no. A fat no, because if you look at this situation of funeral, Minister Paul Atanganji said this when we came to the funeral of late Mayor of Ekema, Patrick Esunge. He said, funerals are not a position for us to come and show enmity, but it is a moment where it brings us closer to God. It helps us, it reminds us about our Creator, and said, so this moment brings us closer to God. And so therefore, which means there's a moment of solidarity. And if you look at what happened between the funeral of Fru Ndi, it goes a long way to say that opposition parties have always been on themselves and themselves alone. None of them share the same ideology. Let me give you an example. We have over 300 and something political parties in Cameroon. So we have 300 and something ideologies in Cameroon. That alone tells you that there's a problem, because you cannot have 300 and something ideology for a nation that have about 300 and something ethnic groups, which means that each village has an opposition party, and so therefore there's a problem. Fru Ndi's funeral was a unique opportunity. It was two things: a litmus test for President Pobia, for people to see how the government will react to the falling of major opposition party, the leader of major opposition party. Secondly, you know that it was also a moment because they said, no, the Anglophone people have, some of the Amber boys have taken up arms against their own people, and so therefore, in one way or the other, others from some other places were accusing Fru Ndi to support these boys. So now let's see how, now that he has died, let's see if the state will go there. So the state also saw it as a test for them to say, okay, if we say we don't give Fru Ndi this burial or don't go to Bamenda, what will people say? We are not taking out our responsibility. The state went, the CPDM party went as a party of Cameroon, recognizing a fallen comrade of a party which together they have been fighting for the common good of Cameroonians. The opposition party, as Ndiwum said, Mr. Kum, it is a time they missed the shot. They missed the shot because it was a moment for them to go to Bamenda and introduce themselves and show solidarity and tell the people of Bamenda that this person who is lying here, he fought for democracy. He fought for the reintroduction of multi-party politics. He fought for the reintroduction of freedom of communication and freedom of the press. And so therefore, we have come to say farewell to him and to reaffirm the belief of what he stands for, that firmness of democracy, freedom of speech and expression, and the rule of law. And that was a unique opportunity for them to network. And I say, in 2025, what message will they take down to Bamenda? How will they penetrate Bamenda? Will they penetrate Bamenda when the moment they were needed a friend in need? It's a friend indeed. And this opposition party failed. As Ndiwum also said, and I align with him, I said this on when we were doing the live coverage here with Lasha. And I said that this is a moment where opposition parties were supposed to come together and make their presence felt in Bamenda and tell the people from Bamenda, and including the government officials who are there, that we are united in our diversity, that we may share different ideology, but let's come together. And immediately after that funeral, call for a brief press conference and say, we, the opposition party, we are here today to bid farewell to our big brother in the political party who have died, and so therefore we want to tell the people of Bamenda that we are in you and will continue to fight for what Papa stood for. Mr. Lo, in the late 90s, Fru Ndi's words were law. Papa don't talk say. Papa talk say, it was Papa don't talk say. And as he said, power to the people always will sing. In my dialect, there was a song composed for Ndimancho Michael, and that was the rallying force. And this was sung like this: Oh, Ndimancho Michael, that he was a strong stick that gives us power. And now, when he died, the opposition party did not go to that Bamenda, and you want to go and campaign in that Bamenda in 2025. And I tell them that they missed the shot. It is not too late. It is not too late for them to take a journey to Bamenda, visit the family of Ndimancho Michael, and tell them that we were not here because maybe we were busy, but we have come. And it's even shameful that even in Yaoundé, they could say maybe Bamenda had insecurity. Let's assume under the rectorate of insecurity, what happened in Yaoundé? Yaoundé that has security. Somewhere just few meters away from Yaoundé, from the funeral. They did not go there. Let's come to Bafoussam. Let's say, okay, Yaoundé was a hostile environment, political hostile environment for them. Bafoussam, which some of them had their base. Why not say, okay, let's pay even a standing homage to him in that position where the population have come to say farewell to Ndimancho Michael? They did not come. It goes a long way to tell you that they are doing what is described as personalism, not patriotism. And I want to say this before you take the microphone, that the demise of Ndimancho Michael has reaffirmed government position in fighting for national unity, respecting ideology, because it is the CPC will tell you that the opposition party who have been fighting us in the parliament, we saw how SDF disrupted the parliamentary year in 2018 and 2019. Oh, they go Kiwi tire. Oh, they go Kiwi. We witnessed it, and now we saw it. They'll tell you that, see, even the opposition party that stood against us in parliament and that said, "Allo pays va mal," we supported their leader. And so, what do you want to talk about us that we are not Democrats? And that goes again to tell the common man to see the people in Bamenda, those from Santa, those from Ewane, those from Atong, those from Kun, those from with the Kum Leonard, to understand that they have seen those who actually are in favor of their ideology and those who may not support their ideology. And so 2025 is coming. You know who supported you, and you shall know who to support. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Now, let's look at the challenge of going down to Bamenda. Dr. Ndimancho, you were there, you lived this moment, and we saw the tense atmosphere that prevailed in Bamenda. Can we say it was also symbolic of the birth of the SDF that was birthed in under very hostile conditions, and that only the brave could go through, and that this was also a litmus test to see those politicians who could brave it, to say whatever happens, there are people living in Bamenda. I should be here to tell the world that I can make a sacrifice for Cameroon. Because if you could not go there, we saw the likes of Michel Ndoki was there, even went up to Baba. Was this not also an opportunity to tell the people that if Fru Ndi could brave the odds in 1990, he is no longer there? This is an atmosphere created by God to showcase those who can take the bullets and stand the heat.
Yes, this was a replay of the 1990s with the ghost towns. And I remember I talked to someone in Bamenda about how they could be, respecting ghost town at the time that we were supposed to celebrate a hero. And cynically, the person told me that Nijon was the one who introduced Ghost Town in Cameroon, and the Ghost Town was just there to celebrate him as the man who introduced Ghost Towns in Cameroon. That was too cynical to me. That was really, I mean, I didn't find that funny anyway. I didn't find that funny. But although that still had a point to hold, because when they call it locally a country Sunday. And you know that on a country Sunday, you don't go to the market, you don't go to the farms, you don't go anywhere. It means that you are respecting something. So in another way, analytically, they respected the soul of Ndimancho Fru Ndi to keep places calm. But then, talking about how the political parties too had to react to that, I actually think that this has gone a long way to portray the intentions of some people or some association, call them, that we call political parties, that we have in Cameroon. Now it is glaringly, I mean, no one will deny the fact now that they are not serious, they are not political parties. That is clear. This is very, very glaring. Now you understand very clearly that they are what they call political parties in Cameroon, who are not vying for political goals and who are not vying to take up power in Cameroon. They are just there, and now I buy with people who say that they are junkie groups. I mean, it is glaring that these people are just there, I mean, for their personal aggrandizement, and that they are not political parties at all. So you didn't expect them to go condole because Ndimancho Fru Ndi was not their colleague. Yes. They didn't identify with Ndimancho Fru Ndi as their colleague, and therefore they didn't find any missing link. There was no missing link anyway, and though they just had to stay, they had to stay aloof. So they knew that if they went there, they would have been confused on what to say, even what to say or where to stand. So and now I understand, and Cameroonians should read the writings on the wall to understand that. And like Mr. Ndiwum say, so nobody will even go to Bermuda to campaign because they are not out to take power in Cameroon. This is one of the things that we really need to understand. And I want to look at it from the honorable perspective. We saw the way the government celebrated. I mean, it was a national kind of mourning, and was I mean, the honors that was given, the value merit, I mean, that they gave Ndimancho Fru Ndi. And another way, you know that when a lion dies, all the other animals, they rejoice. And another way, I'm thinking that, you know, when you have a case with someone in court, one of the prayers that you pray is that the person should die. Because when the person dies, the case also may dwindle. And I think that the government too had to do that, because Ndimancho Fru Ndi was like a thorn in the flesh of the opposition in Cameroon. This was the only person that we talk about opposition in Cameroon. And Anglophones in general, because we are even just talking about Northwest, even Anglophones in general. I think that this was a time that we had to make a retrospective look, you know, a panoramic look of at the 26th of May, 1990, when the SDF was born, you know, when 6 people lost their lives. And I remember late Father Paul Vedzikov, the former Archbishop of the Diocese of Bamenda, on the following weekend organized an ecumenical service, a high mass, to offer the lives of those who lost their, of those who died during that launching of the SDF. And you know that 1 week after too, there was this young Zwa, the one-time bishop of the Archdiocese of Yaoundé, who organized a counter celebration because according to Archbishop Paul Vedzikov, it was like the people were unjustly brutalized and that we need to sow peace in Cameroon. But there's a counter service in Yaoundé which says that no, there was nothing like unjust brutalization, and that the people merited what they had. So you see that actually we are not just talking about the opposition and the politics in Cameroon, we are also talking about what the church stands for. And what the Amber Boys are actually doing now is also what we think that the churches have stood to collaborate, because you see the Catholic Church. I grew up in a Catholic church as an ex-seminarian too, and I really think that the church did very little. We don't know how to castigate only the political parties. The Catholic Church in the Anglophone region, in the Northwest region, failed and have failed to actually give Ndimancho Fru Ndi the desired honor that he was supposed to have, because we didn't see them come up to celebrate this man who has actually brought and given Anglophones that they had.
But the Archbishop was there.
It is not enough. You see,
the Archbishop was there. He is a Presbyterian Christian, and Presbyterians are supposed to take the lead in celebrating. He was taken to where he usually worships, Presbyterian Church of Musang. You expected a Catholic church to...
No, Salio, do you know where I'm coming from? Yes. Let me land. I'm coming from somewhere. And where I'm coming from is that, because we are also talking about what we call the ghost towns. And we are saying, why was Ndimancho Fru Ndi not welcome in Bamenda the way without pomp and fanfare? And I'm saying that the Catholic Church has a hand why he wasn't welcome. I know some people feel very, very uncomfortable about it. Jab is not excluded. But I'm thinking that the Catholic Church, actually, if you look at the constitution of the Catholic Church, and this crisis has gone to where it is today, is because the Catholic Church has failed to be able to handle it as it is. The Catholic Church is that kind of
why are you indexing? Why are you indexing?
I'm not indexing, Mr. Leo. Can you let me land? Can you let me land? I don't think that on this platform nobody would be able to talk about the Catholic Church more than me, because I've been part and parcel of it. Yes, of course, I know that you work with the Catholic Church, but I've been part of it. But I'm saying that when the crisis started, because we are talking about why there was a lukewarm attitude toward Ndimancho Fru Ndi, and I'm saying that there are different responsibilities. Let me not go catching things where we are talking about political parties. Now I'm talking about the church. The church, the Catholic Church in particular. When this crisis started, they talk about a memorandum. I read that memorandum that the Catholic Church actually put forth. And I asked myself, to which extent, where was that memorandum sent? And I listened to a video of the Archbishop Andrew Kier, who said the memorandum was sent to the Prime Minister. And I'm saying that the Catholic Church that I know, if something of this nature, that this crisis went beyond where it is today, is because the Catholic Church didn't do its work, because there is nothing of this nature that will go above the Catholic Church. And I'm saying that, yes, you will say that it was a Presbyterian Christian, but I think that the crisis that is in the Northwest and the Southwest region is not just a crisis that was supposed to be of a particular denomination. We have a church. It is not about something happening and then when I went to Bamenda, I learned the bishop was with the governor of the Northwest region in the Holy See. They went for a pilgrimage in Jerusalem. I'm informing you if you didn't know. And one of the things that the governor went with was a flag of Cameroon. So are we saying that the bishop governor went to also say in Jerusalem, okay, we have come to institute Cameroon is a clean country. So we are saying that, Mr. Liu, that we should put this blame on each and everyone, because we have gone past that area where you will say that criticizing a particular people or a group of people or an institution we are looking at it integrally and holistically to say that there are people who are to take responsibility and that they refuse to take. It is not about killing 10 people and then you go and stand there with some candles and say you're lighting 10 candles in honor of these people. No, let people do their work. Money has come to corrupt people and to spoil people and to let people not speak the truth. And we have gone to where we are today because people have refused. People have deliberately and premeditatedly refused to do their job. If you don't want to say it, I am saying, and I'm taking responsibility that we are supposed to carry our responsibility, be it a lay Christian, be it a bishop, being a priest, being a pastor, being a governor, being a president of the republic. We have to take our responsibility, and I'm saying that there are some people who have failed to take their responsibility.
Excuse me, Dr. Ndimancho, I will take exception. Prime is taking exception to what you are saying, as severally the Catholic Church has spoken out against what is happening in Cameroon, calling for peace to return. We've seen the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Metropolitan Cathedral of Bamenda making moves to see how to solve this problem, and he was present at the funeral of Ndimancho Fru Ndi from start to finish. When that's him seated there. That was in Baba too. So I don't know.
It's a pity that we see people sitting at ceremonies and then want to celebrate them. People have come to celebrate.
Please.
People have come to.
No. No.
It is not enough to say that because people attended an occasion.
We do not have enough. We do not. Please,
Yes,
just.
I just want to give
It is
some issue on this. The church has been doing its best, and we must also understand the context under which we
The
find
church itself is
ourselves.
caught in.
And so the church is the church is one apostolic, and the church is apolitical. And so therefore, in the circumstances of Chairman Ndimancho Michael, he belongs to a church
Which is a
which is the
Presbyterian church.
Presbyterian church. And so the Catholic Church can only accompany the Presbyterian church and let him know that the Presbyterian church has a moderator who is part of the no civil society organization that have been praying. Praying for peace. No.
I'm not talking about the funeral of Ndimancho Michael. I'm talking about
We are talking about funeral. No, we are talking about the funeral. Yes, we are talking about. No, we are talking about
Please. Let's move this debate forward. We're talking about the demise of Fru Ndi, and we're looking at it from the political perspective. But let's look at the ghost towns. What did they achieve? Did they in any way take anything from Fru Ndi as far as his legacy is concerned?
If I were to borrow from what Dr. Ndimancho said a while ago, that somebody said Fru Ndi instituted ghost town, and ghost towns were going to welcome his corpse. I think that reasoning is very trivial. I want to equally think that before now, ghost towns has yielded no fruit. It was not going to be at Fru Ndi's burial that ghost towns were going to yield fruit. As Dr. Ndimancho is crucifying the church or the Catholic Church, I would have preferred that we call on the conscience of all the churches to agglomerate together. We have seen a lot of ecumenical services around done by these churches. I wouldn't like to tag a particular church. If concerning Ndimancho Michael's burial, which is what we are centered on tonight, if the church was to speak, I would not have wanted to know whether it's a mosque, the Presbyterian, the Baptist, or the Catholic. I would have wanted that the clergymen should speak with one voice, as I have been holding the opposition that PCRN, CRM, the names are too much, PAP and all the like, you can never name them. They should have come together to speak with one voice. I must tell you, not that we should tag a particular church. So the clergy, just like the politicians, were supposed to speak with one voice. There I share part of his worry because I understand it. But I wouldn't tag a particular church. Now, ghost towns has proven fruitless. It has only brought untold suffering to our people. It has crippled the economic activities of the people of Northwest. As a matter of fact, people have lost lives on a ghost town day because they were unable to reach the hospital. You have seen a situation where ghost towns, just like roadblocks, have caused people to be pushed on wheelbarrows to the hospitals. It only comes to tell us that war is not a good thing. Some people at times will ask us, why are you people not telling these boys to drop their guns? We have tried our best. But I think we did not ask them to pick up guns. We cannot be asking them to drop guns because the institutions of the state that are supposed to do so are there. I don't know how till date ghost towns have remained 100% respected, even by the government officials that are in this region. Rarely are the cases where you will see the governors and the DOs go out heavily armed. But the good thing is that Fru Ndi's body entered Bamenda, it was welcome. But we cannot forget to mention that if the population that came out was 500,000, it would have been 1 million if the ghost towns and the threats were not there. We must underline that. So it has an effect. Even if the effect we want to minimize because there was part of the population that braved the odds, of which we appreciate such population. We want to think that Fru Ndi was a man to be buried and to be mourned by millions. If it was reduced to thousands of people, it means that the ghost towns had an effect. But my cry like Dr. Ndimancho is hanging on the churches. I hang on the elite of Northwest. I expected the political elite, the traditional elite, to have come up together, Mr. Liu. Tell the population of Northwest. Northwest is an area where people still so much believe in the traditional values of that part of the country. I expected the hype because culturally, Fru Ndi has been to Laikon in the Fondo. Not only in Kum, in other tribes. I don't know whether he had visited Ndiwum, where you come from.
There's no village not only in the Northwest, across Cameroon. He's been there several.
Good. And I am saying that wherever he went to, he identified himself with the administrative authorities and the traditional authorities. So this man had every title. It was now the turn of these people to pay him back by standing up and telling the whole world, and Bamenda in particular, come out and lay this man to rest. Even though some people believe that he was dining with Ewane, I cannot refuse it and I cannot accept it. I don't know how true it is. I am not a politician, or to at least to his level. There are certain things in politics that happens in backstage. Even if he was dining with Ewane, which made many people to lose confidence in him, that he was no longer the Fru Ndi of yesterday. I want to recall those who are following this program. Life is in stages. Energy is in stages. The energy that he had in the 90s to run around, you will not expect that by 2023 he should still be having the same energy.
3 years after.
I played Fenasco at least 3 times. Today, I cannot go around the field and come, then go around again, which means that my energy is diminishing. In as much as the energy can be diminishing, and it warrants that we use our wisdom and knowledge, if he fell short of that, was it not still our place to think of the good days that he gave us, the glory he gave? I think it was enough for us to honor him.
Okay, I want to stay with the strategy of the ghost town. The objective was to make sure to foil the barrier. The barrier went on.
I think
I want us to go back to let's look at the Nations Cup. It was supposed not to take place. It took place.
Effectively.
The female, the male, and other activities. We've had other barons die. Chief Mukete. No ghost town was declared. I don't know whether it was declared.
The truth of the matter here is, when UN Secretary General was coming to Cameroon, there was an announcement of ghost town in Bamenda. But he was going back to Yaoundé. He successfully landed in Yaoundé, spoke with the head of state, received his bronze medal, a gold medal, and he left. When Patricia Scotland was coming to Cameroon in Yaoundé, there was ghost town in Bamenda. Patricia Scotland landed in Yaoundé, finished his discussion with President Paul Biya, and left. When Commonwealth was coming to Yaoundé, there was ghost town in Bamenda. When Nation Cup was being played in West, in Southwest, in Garoua, in Douala, and in Yaoundé, we had ghost town active in Bamenda. The Nation Cup, they played well, they gave the trophy, they left. When we had the recent one, which we had the ghost town, was also the aspect of the National Day, the 20th May, which after a long while, because of COVID, it has not been celebrated. But this year, ghost town was decreed, and we saw images in Bamenda, we saw images in all the aspect of the Northwest and Southwest. Celebrations took place in Bamenda, and nothing happened. And so when Chairman Ndiwum Fru Ndi died, we were told that ghost town would frustrate the corps from entering Bamenda. We were also told that it would discourage a lot of government officials from trooping into Bamenda. Of course, we cannot refuse, else it will be a disservice and intellectual dishonesty that somehow it did not affect the turnout of the masses in Bamenda because of the threat. Now, you should know that some people are respecting this ghost town not because of the fact that they buy the ideology, but by the fear of the unknown, what is commonly called stray bullets, of which we know that bullets don't stray, human beings stray, or being kidnapped for ransom. If you see the same thing that the road was blocked, the road was not blocked as the case it was in Kumba during the early phase of the crisis, where sticks and issues were put, stones were put on the road. But people were afraid of the unknown. Now, if you look at that in that perspective, they succeeded somehow in reducing the population. And when the population they succeeded in reducing were this population that were to come out from the different divisions, the delegations that were to come out from the different divisions, because all the villages in Northwest divisions were supposed to have sent in their delegation. That was the delegation that they actually stopped from coming because of the fear of the unknown. But with those already at Bamenda town that needed not to pass through the Bafut forest, needed not to pass through Jakiri, right, come down in the difficult terrain where they could easily be a victim, those people could not come. However, they could not stop these same people from watching the funeral in their homes and from consulting or from also taking part mentally in this. Now, if you look at the achievement of Ghost Town, did they achieve their objective? The main objective, because when you are defending a thesis, that's what we call the main objective, specific objective. The specific objective was to frustrate the cops from entering Bamenda. Of course, they did not achieve that. Secondly, the objective, another objective was to ensure that the cops should not be buried in Bamenda. That was not achieved. Thirdly, they were also doing that to discourage a lot of people from coming into Bamenda, but we saw cars that trooped in Bamenda. We saw other people that came to Bamenda. Fourthly, they never even wanted those in Bamenda itself to come out of the street. But the people came out at mass. And like Dr. Ndimancho said, if it was a political rally, as the case was during the early phase of the conflict, they would say that they have brought either prisoners or people from the West or people from other areas to come and stand on the street and be singing. Ghost Towns, in its objective on the fact to stop an issue, has never succeeded. And it will never succeed, because you see the government present in Bamenda taking from these corpse in Bamenda, laying it down in Baba, is a message to say that the government can assume its responsibility when need be. And there was nothing that stopped the Fru Ndi's funeral in Bamenda. What I'm surprised is that Fru Ndi's funeral was a moment for the separatists to win the support of the people whom they have been under siege. It was a moment for them to say, hey, the people from the different divisions, go and support Fru Ndi. And this would have been a moment where some of them will regain part of their confidence. But the moment you instill fear in these same people who believe, Mr. Kum, there's something that's happening in the Northwest and Southwest. There's what we call the silent majority. This one is not the minority, the silent majority. In every 10 persons you meet in the Northwest and Southwest, you ask them one thing: what is it that you want to resolve this conflict? They will not tell you federation. They will not tell you confederation. They will not tell you decentralization. They will tell you the same word that we all told Fru Ndi: peace. We want peace. To tell you that the common man don't care about whatever solution you bring. What they care is that they don't want to hear the guns again. They want someone will tell you, better more go back as we did for 2015. They don't care. So because of this fact, so Ghost Town in itself, the strategy did not succeed. We have also seen strategy for Ghost Town to stop school activities. It did not succeed. GCE came, they wrote, people celebrated, people passed. We saw when the Lions were playing during the World Cup, and they said, okay, there's Ghost Town because the Lions are playing. The international community to see that. But in Bamenda, people were watching matches in up license, locked themselves up. They were watching matches, and people still actually watch the matches. So Ghost Town did not succeed.
Dr. Ndimancho, I listened to one of the activists who said that they want to show to the world that things are not moving well in Bamenda. So when people come into Bamenda, you should see a deserted town. Antonio Guterres, when he came, that was done to also send a strong message. Who next or what next is going to happen, that a ghost town is going to be used to pass a message to the world?
Well, you know, it's a war of legitimacy that Ewane is able to decree something and it happens, and they there are decree to and it happens. And this gives them pleasure to say that, okay, they too, whether they have an army or they don't have an army, they give declarations and it happens the way it happens. And, you know, I have a very, very mixed feeling about things that are done under tight security, you know. In as much as we celebrate the fact that Ndijon was buried history, I don't think that Ndijon is that caliber of person who have been buried under the pointed gun or under some kind of tight security. This is a man who used to walk around freely, you know. He went ever he went, and nobody, I mean, apart from those is what they call vanguards and whatsoever, who were not, first of all, harmless. They had this stick that they were walking about, and, you know, the man, freely as he lived, I would have expected that he be buried freely and not under tight security as we had, even though we are happy that people actually came out and defied the security. But then, coming back to your question, I think that there is this pawn that people are playing, you know, to say that, okay, if I could say that this is going to happen, let nobody come out tomorrow, and nobody comes out. Because when I was in Bamenda, there was one thing I sought to know. I asked them, who decrees that there is a ghost town? I asked a good number of people, and I asked even from taxi drivers, and they took time to explain to me how they understand that there will be a ghost town. They don't need to announce it somewhere. It's just surprise for them, somebody to tell you. One person passes the information that is ghost town, and everyone respect. And this is how a taxi driver tells me, this is how they know that there's going to be ghost town. When there's to be ghost town tomorrow, they see how people are rushing to buy foodstuffs in the market the previous day. That's how some taxi driver told me that's an indication for them that tomorrow is going to be a ghost town. So I think that there is this fear that those who claim they want to control the Northwest and Southwest, they want to instill in people.
Yeah, but my question is, how much information are they passing to the international community? Because that is the motive that is given for the institution of a ghost town.
You have inadvertently answered your question. They are passing an information to say that, you know, their goal is to separate the Northwest and Southwest from the Republic of Cameroon. And therefore, if people should respect their rules, people should respect their declarations, people should respect their ghost town, because they have declared it, it means that they are fit to command a whole territory. That is the information they are passing across, to let the international community know that they are the one in control here. You remember there is my days in captivity of a Christian Cardinal Toomey, which of course I loved very much when I read it, where there on page 11, where he said when he went up to Bamenda on a certain Monday and he wanted to meet the governor of the Northwest region, he called the governor on a Monday and said, Mr. Governor, I would have loved to meet with you in the office. And the response of the governor was startling. The governor told the cardinal, I do not work on Mondays. I mean, by that implying that Mondays are days that have been declared as ghost town. So if the governor should answer that and should reply to that, what do you take from? It means that there are some people who have instituted a kind of law that everybody, be it a governor, be it an army general, be it who, that has to respect. And instructions for you to know that there's a lot of things that these guys have made people to understand. You don't go to Bamenda with a car with a CMAC number plate. This is what is interesting there too. And that the guys have declared they do not want, whether you are a governor, you are an army general, you are what, they don't want to see your car with a CMAC number plate. And everybody is respecting. Everybody is respecting ghost town. They gave a ghost town of 3 days. I was in Bamenda, even though I came out in the way of the Quiffon. I came out. But they they ordered this ghost town, and the town is ghosted, and everybody is understand. The message they want to send across, which of course, I think they have failed. They have failed in that message because for the past 6-7 years, they have been sending that message and nobody has listened to them. We are about September, and September is very historic as far as this struggle is concerned, because in September, the General Assembly of the UN holds. And every September, everybody's ears is at the UN General Assembly to listen, to know whether the issue of the Anglophone in Cameroon is on the agenda of the UN General Assembly. And for 6 years, counting, it has never been. And I think that if he was not there in 2017, he was not there in 2018 and 2019, when the crisis was at its peak, I do not think that it is now that the people have gotten used to the system. The people have, gotten the courage that it will be instituted. And therefore, what I stand to condemn is that sometimes when a strategy fails, you should accept that it has failed. Don't be like a horse that you fall down and you jerk up your legs to say that I have fallen. They know that you have fallen. And your question is in line because, we want to understand the rationale of the ghost towns, knowing that starting from 2016, 2017, they instituted it, and no result has been brought from. It has only been untold suffering. Let me tell you, I received some calls from Bamenda today because they had 3 days of ghost town, and the only day that they had to travel was yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday, and those who had to travel from Bamenda to Kumbu, to Uko, to Noni, and all of those places had only Sunday to travel, because today Monday is a ghost town. Made people who travel, Ndop is blocked. They had to go through Bafasam to get into these places, and many of them have stayed on the way. And I'm asking myself, a dog cannot protect his master and at the same time bite him. What message are you sending across? The message you are sending across is that you just want to be that tyrant. Tyrant is even good. That arch criminal, that actually who is standing forth to be able to tell the people how, if you had the independence, you will have locked the people in the box of sardine. I mean, you have just locked the people in some kind of sardine and told them, okay, I am the king of the forest, and that nobody speaks here. This is a message that they are sending to the people.
This is a message that they're keeping to the people. I want us to look away from that. But what is the future of the Social Democratic Front after the fall of Ndimancho Michael?
Mr. Leo, that's a hard one. You know, the emblematic Ndimancho Michael, even when he was alive, at one point, some of us believe that SDF was already dead and buried. I am afraid one of the low points of his political journeys was the failure to have groomed another fellow of his own caliber to continue, to give a continuity to that party. Because when you look at the nomenclature of that party today, many people have this reading from outside. They even call it CPDM Joshua Osi. And you understand that their convention to choose who was to take over power was to take place in this June that went by, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, death stopped him from participating in looking for who to succeed him. There is a problem, because before his demise, the sacking, the famous Article 8.2 had dealt with some 32 emblematic figures who happen to be hardliners of that party. Now, there's an earthquake in that party. The volcano is shaking. I don't yet know. When I look at it clearly, I don't place a finger on who can squarely fit in the shoes of power as of now. That's my honesty from an individual standpoint. And again, raising the caution fee of who should be a candidate from 50,000 to 700,000 or 7 million gives us an idea that those who are very close to power knows who is going to take over. And they have played the game in such a way that it is the financial capacity that will put in whoever has to take power. And from speculations, we can already know who is fit in that party as of now, which does not speak well for the party. I think it should not only be a lesson for SDF. Everybody having political aspiration in this country, whether you have a Njangi group or an association in a party, you know that tomorrow does not belong to you. As you are quitting the stage tomorrow, that again, people should learn to quit the stage before the stage quits them. Because one of the failures and one of the things that have attracted a lot of criticism towards Fru Ndi was the fact that he stayed there for so long. We were criticizing Mr. Bia to have stayed, and in fact, he's even the god of Cameroon when it comes to talking about him. That god who has remained there forever. They call him a national candidate. And he failed to show this example to other parties to follow, that when you have lived your time, don't leave time to be against you. He failed to groom somebody. So I am afraid, and I insist, it is my personal observation. You buy it or you don't buy it, it's my observation. I am afraid that the political future of SDF is dwindling. It is not a wish. but it's my observation.
Okay.
But I pray that God sends a Messiah to rescue that party boat from sinking deeper than it was sinking yesterday.
Okay, so many messages. Good evening, Mr. Liu. You will imagine now that at 10 p.m. you can't see anyone outside in Bamenda, and I asked, they said it is Amber Boys who said nobody should be out at 10 p.m. Stephen is writing from Bamenda, which means they are the ones controlling the town. My special greetings to the panelists. There is every indication that the ills of the crisis are propagated by some regime in place for power prolongation. The regime hijacked the crisis and twisted it to meet their political gains. Kidnappings, heinous crimes, and ghost towns are seemingly coordinated by a hidden hand over the regime. It's okay. Yeah, these are also some of the
conspiracy theories.
Yes. I don't know how you can prove what you are saying. Are you saying that separatists did not come out openly to declare that there should be ghost town? They do. Somebody is writing from Momenda that it has been declared that people should not be out.
At 10 p.m.
Look, we know who did that. You said that people are blocked in Momenda.
Yeah.
We know who is doing that. Yeah, so there is no need. Greetings to you, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists in the house. I think Ndimancho Fru Ndi was a great political figure, and Cameroon in particular. The entire African continent in general will miss him, just like they missed great statesmen like Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, Sekou Touré of Guinea Conakry, and Nelson Mandela of South Africa. Okay, I am very disappointed with the people. Okay, no, Doctor, they say they are disappointed that you are attacking the Catholic Church. From clergymen as they lead Kadnatumi in her institutions as schools. Okay, I don't know, it's not so clear. She is writing from Kumba. Once more, good evening to the panelists. Let us not deceive ourselves. The population that came out of Bamenda for Fru Ndi's funeral was not supposed to be. That is not the population of Bamenda. I rest my case. J-Boy is writing from Bamenda. Yeah, but I'm not sure anybody said the contrary here, except you want to tell us that they were imported.
As we're saying.
Except you want to tell us that those that we saw were imported. Good evening to all the panelists. The truth of the matter is that Fru Ndi has really worked for this nation. He has changed to too many things for the good of the country, but where he failed was when he relocated to Yaoundé and abandoned his people, my opinion. J-Boy. Yes, but he was kidnapped twice now. He was taken twice from his house.
They wanted his head before they should.
I don't know. He was kidnapped twice in his house. The people, I don't know, they did not defend him. What did you expect? He was sick and they kept kidnapping. What did you want him to do? Okay. Shamefully, some people did not turn out to pay last respect to Ndimancho Fru Ndi because they wanted to respect ghost towns declared by unknown men of the underworld. That is why they are shifting blames from one institution to another. The church did this, the government did that, Amber Boys said this and that. The people who propagated those ghost towns are the same people propagating those ills in the Northwest region. Ndimancho made them understand his stance as far as this crisis in the Northwest region is concerned. He never supported the suffering meted on his people. He was tortured and maltreated several times by his own kid and kin. It was alerted that his former bodyguard masterminded the torching of his house in the village. It is a shame that a man who stood out tall in the midst of all the calamities in Cameroon dies, and even when honored with a state burial, individuals with callous interest still want to fight his corpse. We must reconcile with our brothers and our land before we will ever see peace in the Northwest region. John Philip is writing from Bamenda, no, from Boya.
You asked Emmanuel about the future of SDF.
Yeah. Yes, I asked about the future of the SDF, but I wanted you to talk about what Mr. John is writing here about what Fru Ndi stood for and even at his death, he's fought by so many persons. What actually gives us the guts? What gives us that capacity to judge Fru Ndi, when at our respective ages we cannot do what is it?
You know, I was talking with somebody that was today around 1 p.m. and I jokingly said the grace of long life seemingly has gone. And when you look at most of these propagating this hate about Fru Ndi, most of them, I'm not sure they will even be graceful to be of that age. Because we must understand is that we are looking at this from a personal perspective here. Fru Ndi has made it clear from the beginning. From the beginning, he was clear since the moment he refused to take up arms in 1992. And also the moment he refused to actively join the Southern Cameroon struggle. Remember that Fru Ndi had the population in 1992. And the Southern Cameroon struggle did not start today. It started right from the early 90s or 80s. So if Fru Ndi at that point made it clear from the beginning that he's not going to do this, and that's why you saw how the nation rallied behind him in the presidential election. He had vote in the north, he had vote in the west, he had vote across Cameroon. He made it clear that his party is not an Anglophone party, but a national party. And when he was kidnapped the first time, he said he is for Cameroon, one and indivisible Cameroon in specificity. He stands for federation, but he don't support separation. It was clear from the beginning. And he was also clear from the second kidnap. And so those who are castigating him, Mr. Kum, are people who saw that who want to benefit from Fru Ndi's popularity to push their private agenda. That hey, this man has that popularity. Let's get him to say yes, so I can push our agenda. And also Fru Ndi was wise because at the same time when the separatists, like from the beginning, I talk about the two thieves in the middle of the cross. That was Fru Ndi. Fru Ndi was like in between the two thieves. One is telling you that declare independent, and so that we can be free and enjoy the dividend. The other is saying that, you know what, you have done nothing wrong. These people are crucifying you. Don't bother. Remember me in paradise. And that's why you see Fru Ndi could easily go to Yaoundé for shelter and left his own home where he fought tooth and nail in 1990 in the moment where it was really hot. Now, who welcomed Fru Ndi? Yaoundé welcomed Fru Ndi. Now, the same people whom Fru Ndi fought for, those who are pushing and are castigating Fru Ndi, they are just a few minority. They are a minority group, Mr. Kum. And this minority, as Dr. Ndimancho said, that if you go down to Bamenda, people can talk about failures of Fru Ndi because they cannot talk Fru Ndi out of people. That means you cannot talk what make people to hate Fru Ndi. Because people already know what he stood for, his successes. Every village in Northwest had a song for Fru Ndi, even in Southwest, even in the East, in the North, because Fru Ndi was a national figure, not only from the Northwest and Southwest region, but a national figure who stood for one and indivisible Cameroon. Fru Ndi in Yaoundé, when he came back and he was doing an ecumenical service for the fallen heroes of SDF militant, he said, and I quote, that your generation today want everything now. We must have it now. And that if this is how he had fought, if this is how they fought in 1990, by now this nation would have not been the same again. And we must appreciate Fru Ndi for that, because even in 1992, when people mounted pressure on him, he maintained firmness, which proved that he's a man of peace. He's a man of serenity. And he said he cannot, in as much as he has his successes, he has the failure. But in moments like this, we must not capitalize ourselves on looking at his activity, because he cannot, his failures, because he cannot defend himself. You can only take a case with somebody who is alive. Like Dr. Ndimancho said, that when you have a case with somebody, the moment the person dies, you pray for the person to die so that the case should get closed. So we cannot go back and resurrect some of the things that we think he ought to have done. Good. Those who were criticizing him in 1992, this is the opportunity. They should take over Fru Ndi and lead the struggle. Those who say Fru Ndi did not declare independent, Fru Ndi is no longer there, the vacuum is open, they should take over and declare independent. Those who say Fru Ndi did not go to A2D, this is the opportunity. Fru Ndi is no longer there, they should take up the green light and go to A2D. Okay. It's clear.
Let me take some messages and then I ask my last question to you, Dr. Michael. Mr. Liu, the separatists would have taken the chairman's funeral and burial as an opportunity to gain the people's support than to stop the chairman's corpse from entering Bamenda. This same John Fru Ndi, they are criticizing broad freedom of press and true democracy to this country. Some of them didn't have the courage and will never have the courage like Fru Ndi have. So they should stop deceiving the population of the Northwest and Southwest regions. Please, they should stop it and dialogue with the government of Cameroon. Dedi Nkwenti is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Just want to say that John Fru Ndi did a lot, but still I can conclude that he was more focused on power than really meeting the needs of the people, because there is no tangible thing he led except a party that could promote freedom of speech to the people. Okay, but Christ gave the church as a tangible platform that could practice true governance in meeting the needs of the people. Gemu is writing from Bamena. Good evening to us all. Please, Fru Ndi groomed a successor and he left the party with his successor. That's Honorable Joshua C. Bishop Ndingi JM writing from Douala. Greetings to everyone in the studio. I'm Harry from Yaoundé. All of you are from Bamenda. I invite you to come and ask your questions in Bamenda. Most of you making noise in Cameroon will one day be accounted for. Okay. Yeah, that is a threat. Yeah, greetings, Mr. Liu. When Ghost Town, yeah, that's a threat. And greetings, Mr. Liu. When ghost towns are declared now, people are being harassed in their homes at late hours in the night by people who claim to be Amber fighters, saying that they must support the struggle. What a pity. Bamenda is in deep shit. Whosoever is threatening, Fru Ndi lived his life, he's gone now. We are all going to die. You too who is threatening, you are going to die. You're not going to live forever to judge people. Dr. Michael and Ndimancho, Fru Ndi is gone. He was heavily criticized. Where are those who have taken 30 years to criticize him? Where are they leaving their mark as a lesson to Fru Ndi that you failed in this or failed in that, this is what we are doing better than you?
I'm a literati, and in literary analysis, we have critics more than writers.
Okay.
And this is what I see happening in politics, that you have people who criticize more than people who do. And that is what has happened in the SGF. We have had people who have come out of the SGF, formed their own parties, and those parties are dangling, and we don't even hear about them.
But they are giving lessons to Fru Ndi.
But that is exactly what I'm saying. But these are the people who stand out to give lessons. There is someone who said that Cameroonians are lecturers, and they like to lecture. It means that they like to give lessons to people, things that they cannot do. And this is a moment where we'll have said, okay, this man that we criticize so much has gone. Can I come out now and take the leadership of the party? This is actually what is supposed to happen. People think that John Fru Ndi came ex nihilo, that is from Norway, to be where we are. They didn't see how he nurtured the party that he started. And that is why you found that people saw it so easy that if this man, who is almost half-educated, could come out and form a party and blossom like this, means that those of us who are doctors, who are professionals can come out and form parties that will be booming. And they have not shown any proof of anything. And I think that contrary even to the fact that people think that John Fru has died with the party, he hasn't. Because if we consider and we are celebrating John Fru Ndi today as a successful man, it means that there was a successor. Because there is no successful person without a successor. So if we will be contradicting ourselves to say that the SDF has died, the SDF actually should stand tall. And I think that even those who were in the periphery, because we realized the problem of SDF was that people became much more interested in their personal gains than the gains of the party. We know of the people that Mukong, Abed, we know people, Paddy Asanga and all of those, who came to the party because they wanted to offer something, who wanted to be pelicans. You know, I always want to give this example of this bird. They wanted to offer themselves their blood for the young to drink for and survive. So I think that this is how those who are criticizing are supposed to come up now and say that, okay, we are much more educated and we disregarded Ndimancho Michael because we are more educated than him. Let us come up now and build a party of educated people. I got people giving reasons why they were not there. Ndimancho's funeral was planned about 2 months ago, and I think that those who wanted to be should have been there. People said they were out of the country, people said they were in other places. And just to give reasons of the fact that Fru Ndi was somebody that they didn't go well with. I think that it is time now for them to put their hands on deck, synergize their effort. They who are technocrats, and I like testimony of some people who have accepted that they are what they are today because of Ndimancho Michael. And I think that this is the time for they to come back. If the problem was Ndimancho Michael, if Article 8.2 was Ndimancho Michael, if he incarnated the article, then let them come back home. And let them come back home and gather themselves together and get going. Let the educated people who were there come back and put the party together and get going. Because now we have seen, and history will note it down, that we have only one political opposition party in Cameroon, and it is the 8th year because it is an object. We have seen that it is objective because all the other parties have proven. So, talking about those who criticize, it is easy to criticize, but very difficult to do. And I think that this is the time for people to do and rather to criticize. They can go on forming parties. We have about 347. How many of them actually go for elections? How many of them go for municipal election? How many of them go for parliamentary election? How many of them go for presidential election? So we have come to the conclusion that most of these people criticize are only those who are fighting for their bellies, is their politics to vent, and they want to eat for their families. And that is why you find political chairperson and president green their pockets are very fat, and then you have someone coming out, then you have militants who are there would have shoes that are burning on one side, and they are just go on front. So it is a time for them to come together, put their hands on deck, and get going, and then prove that Ndimancho Michael was a failed politician, that he failed to go to A2D, he failed to take the presidency of the republic, and that they can be able to do that and do that perfectly. I think they should show proof of it, because when we look at the political landscape in Cameroon today, it is sure proof of the fact that that 2025 we should not await to see any competition. That 2025 will just be hallelujah, and that hallelujah will be that the CPDM please hand over their baton of command to perhaps your son or your cousin and get Cameroon going. What we want is peace, and of course that is the peace that we want to maintain. Wherever they are, in the northwest, in the southwest,
look not
in
on
Cameroon.
their sins.
Yeah, look not on their sins, but on the faith of your faithful. And this is what we get. And let me just say, Ms. and before I land, that my problem is not particularly with the Catholic Church. My problem is that if the church is much more disorganized, because the church is one and holy, apostolic, and I think that these people need to synergize. It's not that when something happened in the Northwest region, it is only for the pastors or the priests or the bishops of the Northwest region. If something happened in Ewane in the East, it's only for the bishop of the East region. And that there should be that synergy, that we see that because we have had squabbles between these people, that they think that only the bishops of that Christian province should talk about what is happening. And two, the bishop of the province, and you see one saying this, another saying another. So there should be that synergy. That is actually what I stand to see.
Okay. Yeah, but some people say that it frustrated Anglophones. How did Fru Ndi frustrate?
Well, Mr. Leo, to be sincere with you, if you hear anybody says he frustrated Anglophone, it is his stance in the heat of Anglophone crisis. Remember at one time, Fru Ndi himself said, if I were still young, I would have picked up my guns. Some people were very happy about that statement. But when he foresaw the danger that was coming, and he started telling the people that, no, let's go in for the federation, people said he had abandoned the cause. But to the best of my knowledge, I am not sure that from the beginning, he was implicated as one of the initiators of the cause. But like I said, we are going home tonight fulfilled that we have aired out our minds as far as Fru Ndi's legacy was concerned. And it is equally true that if ghost towns did not play a hard one on the people, the whole millions of people would have turned out. So those who managed to come out from linear settlements, because the suburbs were exempted for the fear of unknown. Those from Boyo could not come. Ndiwum, Akwaya could not go because of the fear of the unknown. But we are thinking that it is a lesson, not only for the opposition as we are talking. I want to think that even Mr. Biya himself, who is still the sitting president of Cameroon, should start drawing some lessons from the demise of Fru Ndi. Should also start thinking that one day, when he will be history, which country, we are asking which SDF is Fru Ndi, has Fru Ndi left today? Tomorrow it will be which country has Mr. Biya left today? So it's a message to all the political figures of the nation, not that they should just wait, so that when they are gone, there should be pandemonium everywhere.
Okay. Please, Mr. Liu, allow the doctor to speak his mind, because he's speaking the mind of the people. Okay. Greetings to you all in the studio. I wish to thank Dr. Mike for his courage to address his church. Just emphasize that all churches and men of God have failed, all elites and traditional leaders too. Father Ndicha Eric, writing from Yaoundé. Yes, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank my media prime, where I worked, for the brilliant coverage of the Social Democratic Front chairman, the demise. You know, many people could not make it there, but watch us from minute by minute. They participated. I want to say that we are desperately happy, and also want to appreciate the team. And again, I want to say happy Monday, good evening to the new president of the Catholic University of Buea, Reverend Father Bartholomew Anyanwu, who is now the president of the Catholic University of Buea, and also the Bishop, Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, His Lordship Michael Bibi, who recently celebrated his birthday. I want to also use this opportunity to tell him a happy belated birthday to the Chancellor, the Chief Shepherd of Buea Diocese. Above all, thank all those who took our time to also criticize us, because in the Anglo-Saxon culture, we believe in the force of argument, not the argument of force, and we also believe that now that the chairman, Fru Ndi, is not there, all those who said he would have done this is an opportunity for you. Please, the stage is free. Fru Ndi is not there. Take up the stage and correct what you think he ought to have done. If the separatists who say he did not declare the independent, please come to Bamenda. Fru Ndi is no longer there. Come and declare the independence and move right down to Buea, where you have been saying that you get to Buea. And until then, Mr. Kum, I want to again thank you for inviting us to come and discuss on this salient issue. We are not perfect. We have made our own analysis. Those who think that we did not make accurate analysis, my media prime is at Fengu Dombange, and of course your number is on your screen. They can always call you to book an appointment to come and say what the thing is. It is a fact, as long as they will take responsibility of the action. Thank you.
We want to thank all of you for coming, and to you for watching. Doctor, thank you for coming.
Alliance of Noni Village Development Association, Mr. Leo, will be holding here in Douala at GPS's Daido, and I'm inviting all of us today, an alliance, because in Noni we have 10 villages, and all these villages have village development association, and they have decided to come together in a platform to be able to see the needs of the people. And you know, this is one of the causes of Anglophone issues, that the people have decided to take the development into their hand. So they will meet on the 26th of August at GBS's Daido to be able to discuss the development of the village, the culture of the people, to be able to see, you know, each year we send medical doctors now to the village to be able to take care of the sanitary, the health issues of the people. So on the 26th, we'll be gathering here at Daido in Douala to be able to raise funds, and we also to brainstorm and see the way forward, so that, I mean, development should come closer to the people, and the people get much more interested to development.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Following in love with Mr. Biya. He is a good leader. Thanks for giving Mr. Fru Ndi a befitting burial. Shame to the other politicians who never showed their last respect to Fru Ndi. We are waiting for them. Come 2025 by Mo Eugene in Buea, alias Taximan. Zingraf, who takes this one? Has this this stuff, yes, the demise of Fru Ndi, has it made, especially the ghost town, has it 1 point for the separatists and and the boycott by opposition leaders also?
No,
have they made
Mr.
more popular?
Ghost town is not a car. It is not an aeroplane that has to carry people in and out of a place. So in essence, if you got what I said, you understand that ghost town is just as ghosted as ghost for nothing.
Okay.
So you know, I said it from the beginning that Biya has actually scored a point with this funeral. It's a pass mark for President Biya because his major opposition party dies and he gave a state burial. He went in the heart of the war, gave him a rest. So it's a pass mark for Biya and a failed mark for opposition party who will be going by 2025 to tell the people of Bamenda we did not come because of what?
Okay, thank you Desmond and Eli for production, Tabitha and Brian for supervision. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Welcome to a new world of TV broadcasting. My Media Prime.